found it at the edge of the woods, where moss grew on windowsills and the air held its breath. A small stone house, overgrown but not forgotten. It didn't look abandoned, it looked asleep. The door creaked open without a push. Inside, the air was thick with dreams not yet dreamed. Rooms pulsed with a faint glow, each one breathing differently. The house wasn't haunted. It was waiting. The first room pulsed with warmth. It smelled of sunlight and orange peels. On the walls were drawings they remembered making as a child, scrawled dreams no one ever asked them to explain. They moved to the next room. Colder here, dim, a pile of books sat unopened. Their titles were fears. What if I'm not enough? Maybe I should quit. Too late already. They didn't read the books, but they touched them, acknowledged them. And that felt like enough. The room grew lighter, just a little, as if the house noticed the bravery and softened its breath. A hallway stretched out ahead. Paintings hung crooked on the walls, portraits of them at different ages. Not posed, candid, some smiling, others lost. All true. At the hallway's end, a door, small, barely shoulder height. They ducked to enter and found a room no bigger than a closet. In it, a single rocking chair and a mirror. Nothing else. They sat. The mirror didn't reflect them exactly. It reflected how they felt. Tired, hopeful, healing. It didn't lie, but it didn't judge. It simply mirrored the soul, not the surface. As they watched, the mirror faded. In its place appeared words. You've always been here. You just forgot how to hear yourself. They exhaled and felt something release deep in their chest. They rose and explored one last room. It had no floor, just starlight. No ceiling, just sky. And in the center, a bed made of moss and memory. The room wasn't for sleep. It was for remembering what rest feels like. They lay back, not to escape, but to return. The house around them shifted, walls turning soft, light folding inward. As if the house was tucking them in, whispering, "You're allowed to feel safe now." They didn't dream in that room. The house did, and it dreamed of them not as broken, but as becoming. Not as lost, but as unfolding. It remembered what they forgot. They were still writing their story. When they woke, the house was quiet. Still present, but softer. As if it had given them what they needed, and now simply waited, not for them to return, but for them to remember it lives within them. They stepped outside. The air was crisp. The birds sang. The world hadn't changed, but they had. They carried the house now, not on their shoulders, but in their breath, in their stillness, in their voice. And somewhere deep inside, a door stayed open. A place they could visit again, not to escape, but to remember that they are allowed to rest, and that even stillness can dream.